Relapsing is one of the worst things that can happen to somebody who made a vow to themselves that they would no longer drink alcohol. Relapsing can just crush somebody's self-esteem when they didn't want it to happen. Listen, I have relapsed more times than I can count because I was the kind of person that just kept trying to stop drinking alcohol and then would relapse. But today in this video, I'm going to break down what happened during my final relapse ever. For those of you that know my story, I've not drank now for 5 years, but just before I stopped drinking alcohol, I went on one final run of chaos. And I say final because after that, I stopped drinking for good. Like, I've not drank for 5 years. I have no desire to drink alcohol ever again. But what I want to do for you in this video is talk about the shift that happened. How I went from crushing life, I had this great personal training business, I had a girlfriend, I had a car. How I went from having this great life without alcohol to then going back to it. Because if we're able to see the shift that happened in my mindset, which led me to drinking again, then, hey, listen, we're all going to be better equipped. You're going to be better equipped because it can sneak up on you. So if you're currently sober, you're a few weeks in, a few months in, you'll get something from this video. But also if you're still trying, if you're still putting the pieces together, really figuring out how to get control of your drinking, this will be helpful as you go on your journey. Can't wait to share this with you. And just before we get into the video, if you want help stopping drinking in the Sober Clear program, where we use something called first principles thinking to help you reframe the way that you view alcohol, and then we use coaching to really focus on building a vision and going after a better future with also a community of business owners and professionals, click the link in the description and book a phone call. We can jump on a quick call together and really figure out if the program could be a good match for you. It works if you've tried things like AA, therapy, rehab, things like this in the past, and the call's totally free. So just go ahead, click the link in the description, and I'll speak to you soon. But now back to the video. So what basically happened in my life is I actually went on an exchange semester in America. And it was incredible. I went to USF in Tampa, so it was in Florida, and it was an awesome time. However, I'll be honest, when I was there, I was drinking. There was like a lot of partying, but it wasn't like crazy. I didn't really get into like a dark place or anything like that. And I met incredible people. Some of those people I'm still in touch with today. But this is like, what, 6 or 7 years ago now? Man, that is crazy. Time flies, right? But I did this exchange semester, and I decided that when I came back, because I went to university in Oxford, and I decided that when I went back to university, I just didn't want to go back to Oxford yet. I wanted to kind of do my own thing. So what I did is I went to Cardiff, which is the capital city of Wales. And at the time, when I was a student, I used to work in a restaurant. I used to work in Jamie Oliver's Italian restaurant. It was called Jamie's Italian. But I decided, right, I'm going to go to Wales, try a new city out, work in the Jamie's there for the summer, save up some cash, and then go back to university. At least I'll have, a few £1,000s. And this is when things started to take a turn for the worse. When I was at this restaurant, it's a big drinking culture. And not like normal drinking, not partying. It was like, we're going out to drink. We're going to sit in a bar to drink. I just got carried away. Like, I just went out all the time. I don't know how many times I went out. I can hardly remember a lot of it. But there was one night that I went out on my own because I'd been drinking pretty much daily. And what happens to me is when I drink daily, I just want to keep it going. The last thing I want to do is even take one day off. And it was just another ridiculous run. And I went out one night totally on my own. And I remember I went and sat in this bar. I had like 4 drinks in one bar. It was like 4 doubles. And then I walked to this other place completely on my own. And it was like, I don't know, a mile away. It was quite fun. I'm walking through the capital city on my own at like 1 a.m, which is like a stupid decision anyway. Because there was a lot of fighting and violence in this city. It was like quite wild. It's Wales. Anyway, not saying there's anything wrong with Welsh people, but it was just a wild city, right? There was a lot of drinking and a lot of partying in that place. I remember going to this other bar, and then I remember having like a drink there, and I don't remember anything else. I just don't remember a single thing that happened. I remember waking up the next day and I looked over and I had thrown up blood. Like it was this brown bile, which I then later Googled, and it was like, that can be like blood coming out of your stomach. And I was like, or whatever. I don't know if it was my stomach. I can't remember, but it was disgusting. And I'd thrown it up on my computer and I was just crushed. I couldn't believe what had happened. And it scared the living daylights out of me. I was terrified because I've had consequences from my drinking plenty of times, but nothing was this severe because this was like a serious health thing. And I'm like 23, 24 years of age, and I'm just terrified. And I remember that hangover that day was one of the worst hangovers I've ever had in my life. It lasted like 3 days. I was anxious. It was horrible. And that was enough to get me to just say, I am not doing this anymore. And I really meant it. Stop drinking alcohol. And then good things started happening. And I started going back to this gym, and I went back to this gym. It was called a Pure Gym. And there I met this guy who was a personal trainer. And he was just like a normal dude. It wasn't like over the top or anything like that. And he was telling me, this is a great business. I've always got money in the bank account. It's changed my life. I had this crap job before, and now I'm doing personal training. And I was like, really? That's interesting. And when I looked at him, I thought, there's nothing that you have that I don't. It's not like you're some, I don't know, mastermind or, you've had like the backing of a millionaire. It was nothing. I was just like, I can do this. So I moved back to Oxford and then I started this personal training business and I killed it. It was so much fun. Like I was learning all of these new skills of entrepreneurship, building systems, marketing, sales, helping people change their bodies through exercise, through good nutrition. And it was awesome. And life was just going really, really well. I remember I used to get my university assignments and I would finish it the day that it was set. I'd have like a 2-week deadline. I'd just go to the library. I'd sit there for 8 hours, finish the whole thing, send it back to my professor and then just go back to the gym and start building my business. I was just on cloud 9. I was just crushing it. And life was going so well. I finally felt like I'd found my groove in my 20s. I was like, yes, this is it. And it all came crumbling down. What ended up happening is I went to this New Year's Eve party and it was this really cool party. It was in a private members club in London and I was with other people that were drinking. And I remember I met these people, they were drinking champagne. And I'm looking around me and I'm thinking, well, it's New Year's Eve. Like everybody's drinking. Look how happy everybody is. And there was a shift that happened that night. This tiny seed got planted as soon as I got into that place of like, oh, yeah, this is cool. Everybody was sophisticated. Everybody was dressed really well. They were affluent people. It was really cool. And I was like, they're all drinking. And well, look at this. Their life's okay. They look like they're well put together. Do you know what? Maybe it won't be so bad if I just drink tonight. That was the idea. Just have a couple of drinks tonight. I drank 2 espresso martinis. And after that, again, it was just madness. And then what happened is I basically destroyed everything. I got back to ground zero and then I made that final decision to stop drinking alcohol. I won't go into that right now because it's not too relevant. But you can see what happened here. I got to a place where I just hated alcohol. I was so upset and I was so afraid of drinking that I stopped. It was enough to get me going, but I did no other work. All I did after that was stop drinking alcohol. And then I built a great life, but I didn't learn about alcohol. I didn't read about alcohol. I just said, that's enough to get me going. Boom. But that tiny seed of me still seeing alcohol as a good thing that I was resisting drinking, that small seed, that one night just grew until it was the only thing I could think about doing. And then boom, I'm drinking again. And this is the problem. If you see any benefit to drinking alcohol, then this could happen to you. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, right? I don't know your exact situation, but I know one thing for sure. If you see a benefit of drinking alcohol and you get put in a situation like this, what do you think will happen? Well, maybe you excuse yourself. Maybe you leave early. But either way, if you still see a benefit to drinking, then you will be in that party, that event, whatever it is that day, wanting to drink. Seeing them as doing something that you want to do, that you're resisting doing. And it's why building a paradigm where you see alcohol for what it is just the most important thing that you can do with your time, if stopping drinking is important to you. If I could go back in time, what I would have done is I would have gone back to day 1 of stopping drinking and I would have just learned. I would have spent the next 2, 3, 4 months just learning everything I can about alcohol and really just solidifying a worldview, which is something that I did after stopping drinking 5 years ago, but I just wish I did it back then. But anyway, it is what it is, right? We can't live in regret. It's already done now. The past is done. All we can do is focus on the future and now. But that was the big thing, was seeing this benefit of drinking alcohol. But then the other big mistake that got me to relapse was just thinking that I could go back to controlling it again. And I'm not gonna lie, after I took that drink, it wasn't that bad. Things just kind of like were okay at the beginning. This idea of going back to controlling alcohol is just nonsense. Because alcohol is a drug. The nature of a drug is for you to drink one and then want to drink more and more and more. Anyway, if you click the video on the screen right now, you can learn why a drinking problem exists with a brand new system to gain control.